And what's going on, everyone? Welcome into a week 3 edition of Parlay with the G's. I'm excited to have two new guests on the show today. Got my cousin Ty Cobb on for the first time from Charlotte, North Carolina, and good friend from Phoenix, Arizona, Josh Allison. That's not Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills. He's joining for the first time as well. Ty, you're wearing a Panthers jersey. I know you're from Charlotte. You've been a fan your whole life. You know, the Jake Delhomme days, the Steve Smith days, the Julius Pepper days in '04. Uh, moving on, we got Luke Kuechly days, we got Cam Newton days, we got Greg Olson days where they made it to the Super Bowl, couldn't get over the hump then. But yeah, what's it like being a Panthers fan? I don't know. Right now they're going through some turmoil.
Um, I mean, look, exactly as you said, I've been a diehard fan my whole life, season ticket holder throughout the entirety of my life. It's been tough. There's been a couple great fluke years that has been fantastic. Like my senior year of high school was when we went to the Super Bowl with Cam Newton, Greg Olsen, Chris McCaffrey, all of them.
Oh,
Couldn't have had a better
great
time to
team.
do that. Fantastic year, especially like senior year, last hurrah at high school with all the hometown friends, all of that. But to summarize my team, this is one thing I told my girlfriend. I was like, look, if you ever question my loyalty, if I can be loyal to something so bad, trust me, I can be loyal to something good. It's a lot of wins and losses, mainly losses,
Yeah,
but
a lot of
we
love.
fight every week. We lose a lot of money, but we still root them on.
Hey
Oh
man,
yeah.
not everyone's from Charlotte, North Carolina, so you got roots there, and that's your team when they're good. Like when they were in the Super Bowl that those 2 years. I mean,
Uh,
I've seen the Panthers be good, but the consistency is just hasn't been there in a while.
Yeah, the new
that
owner,
Cam Newton
everything is
team.
just slopping. I mean, Tepper is not the owner we need. He's in the business meetings. He's in the team meetings trying to coach the team. It doesn't really work out. I think our head coach is new to the year, and in his first play is to bench Bryce Young after 2 weeks. Which I don't necessarily disagree with, but I think it's just I don't know, like how many rebuild years can you have before it's just your team isn't it.
Yeah, and
I
really
see that.
interesting to see what they do with Bryce coming up here. But he's benched for now, and we got the Red Rifle coming in this week.
Red Rifle, Andy.
Yep.
I kind of like
Well,
Andy, man.
we'll take a money line one more time this year before I decide to ever take them again. This is the week. If it's going to happen, it's got to happen this week.
It's this week.
Well, I'm going to forecast and
Hell
maybe
yeah.
say how no to that. Hey Jay, this is your first time on the Jay, this is your first time on the
Yeah.
podcast. You're from Phoenix, Arizona. You're a Cardinals fan. Rise up, Red Sea. Your team looked
Rise
good
up,
last
Red Sea.
week. They looked good last week. They hung 41 on the Rams. They looked good against the Bills week 1. What's it like being a
Yeah, they look.
Cardinals fan, and how you feeling about the team right now?
How I'm feeling about the team right now is pretty good. Last week was really solid. Kyler Murray played probably the best game I've seen him play in a very long time. So hopefully he can keep that up. As a Cardinals fan, I'd like to see Kyler Murray be a little more consistent. If he can be a little more consistent, I would feel a lot better about the team. And our defense at the moment is a little bit shaky, but we knew that going into the season. So I'm just excited to see a fun football team to watch with Kyler Murray kind of just running around back there, making shit happen. So,
I mean, if
and
he can keep it up, I mean, those numbers he's putting up, that's an MVP candidate season. If he can
yeah,
continue
he
what
was
he's done these first couple of weeks, I mean, he's looked phenomenal.
phenomenal. That Rams game, like I said, it's the best game I've seen him play in a very long time.
I mean, he had that one
And
pass. I can't remember who caught it, but he threw the touchdown, and before the receiver caught it, he was already looking back at the sideline and pointing at him, like a Steph Curry drop back three where he doesn't watch it go in. I was like, all
yeah,
right, if you're
yeah,
doing that, you're putting up numbers to see.
I think it was the one at the end of the half where he was running around back in the
Yep,
pocket, and
yep.
then he's like rifles it right in between two people back at the end. It was beautiful. I haven't seen him do that shit in long ass time, so it's good to see that. Growing up a Cardinals fan, it was good to see the Kurt Warner days, Anquan Bolden, Larry
Larry
Fitzgerald,
Fitzgerald.
Darnell
Mm-hmm.
Dockett. You got Calais
Mhm.
Campbell.
Hey.
You had some dogs back there back in the day. So that was probably the only time that was really it was really fun to watch the Cardinals. But yeah, rise up Red Sea this year, man. Let's go.
Rise up, Red Sea. I mean, '09 Super Bowl against the Steelers, one of the best catches
Oh, that was a
ever.
great game.
San Antonio Holmes
What
back of the end zone. Brutal way to
was it
lose
a
that
catch?
game. Oh, he got 2 toes down, bro. Yeah, he was
Oh
back
man, that
right
was hard.
corner.
that was heartbreaking to watch
I feel
like a
bad
what,
for
10-year-old,
Larry.
11 year
Like
old
Larry
kid.
needs a ring.
Yeah, he needed it, man. He was loyal to us this whole time, and that was our shot that year, man. Hurt, round up some magic that year in the playoffs, and that was our time. We just couldn't get it done, but that's Cardinals
Well,
fan.
I followed them in 2014 because they were on Amazon Prime, All or Nothing, when Bruce Arians was the
Oh,
coach,
okay.
and that was when
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
had Carson Palmer at quarterback. David Johnson was phenomenal as a rookie that
Oh,
year. Tyrann
great
Mathieu
rookie
was on
year,
the team that year. The Cardinals were good that year, and they just ran into the wrong Cam Newton team in the playoffs that year.
man. That Carolina team, like you said, with Cam Newton, man, that team was fun to watch. I loved watching Cam Newton at Auburn. Superman. Cam Newton was one of my favorite players. I grew up. I had like a big ass Cam Newton jersey that was way too big for me that I wore when I was in middle school.
I
Big
mean, what
big
they're
Cam
playing the
Newton fan.
Packers and Cam Newton's back there, and the linebackers like it's a wheelbarrow railroad. He goes, "Oh, cool! You watch the film, watch this. Ready!" That was a touchdown to Chris McCaffrey.
Hell yeah.
And
Glory
then,
days.
and then most recently, the year the Rams won the Super Bowl in 2022, the Cardinals started off that season undefeated, and then it just started to kind of slide towards the end of the season. And Kyler did not look good in that playoff game against the Rams. Um,
Yeah.
you know, OBJ got involved. Von Miller on the Rams getting involved as well, and he had some costly mistakes that game. But hey, man, they're looking good, and Cardinals are
Hopefully,
looking maybe like a contender. We'll see what we pick for this
hopefully,
game this
man.
week.
It's week to week, man.
It is a week
Week
to
to
week
week.
business. And if there's anything that lets us know that, it was last week and the amount of upsets that were on the slate. So with that being
Oh,
said, we're going to kick it off here. We're going to jump in and see if week 3 is the same as week 2. So this is Parlay with the G's. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you obviously are a football fan, you're an NFL fan, but you're also a sports investor and you're looking to make some money with the opportunities that you have with the legalization of sports betting and all the different states that you have, all the options of apps that you have that you can go on to make easy selections, but you want to make informed decisions. You want to use some analytics, but also you want to use some of that instinct, that gut. What teams do you feel good about before making your selections? And so what we're going to do is we're going to do our best job on this show today to pick our spreads of the week, to pick our over-unders for each game, to pick our money line. After we cover all the games from week 3, then we're going to reveal our parlay of the week, where we let you know exactly, this is Parlay with the G. So what things we like best out of all the games that we're covering on the slate. And then after that, we're going to finish with a survivor pick, a team that is going to win a game this week, but we can't pick them again for the rest of the season. Kind of like musical chairs. Once you pull that chair, it's gone, and the show goes on from there. So, boys, let's kick it off right here. This is Sunday morning that we have on the East Coast, and we're going to start off in sunny South Florida, West Florida to be exact, Tampa Bay, Florida. We've got those Denver Broncos 0-2. They're coming to town to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Surprising team so far this year at 2-0. This is looking like 88 degrees weather at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. ESPN Analytics give the Bucs a 69% chance to win this game, with the Broncos at a 30% chance. Bucs are favored by 6.5 points in this matchup. The over-under is 40 total. So, Ty Cobb, why don't we start with you? How do you feel about this first matchup for Sunday morning in Tampa?
Look, as a person that's part of the NFC South, I've loved to see what Baker can do. We gave him, a year of test with the Panthers. Obviously, it didn't work out. I think it didn't work out with Browns as well. Then he goes over to Tampa and, puts up numbers. Makes playoff last year. Looks great. I think he's continued that. He's comfortable in the pocket. Loves his receivers. Mike Evans obviously dominating. And then Bo Nix on the other side. He looks so good preseason, but he's just not come to fruition there. I don't think he's really shown his whole light, shown what he can do. And I think the Broncos, like they were last year, just still a little bit of a shaky team. Haven't really found themselves yet. So for me, I think I'm going to go Bucs minus 6.5. I like that number. So far this year, if you look at statistics, every team that's been favored by 6.5 hasn't lost yet. Praying this isn't the week that changes. It's a fun little statistic. If I'm going over under, I see this being like a 32-34 Buccaneers to like 12-14 Broncos. I think I'm going to go with the over, but I think that number is great right at 40. I see it being like a 42 total. So those are my two picks. I think I'm going to go Bucs minus 6.5 and over 40.
All right, so ties on those Bucks to cover that spread in Tampa this week, also on over 40 points as well. JA, how do you feel about this one in Tampa?
Yeah, looking at this game, I really don't have a side on the spread, but what he was talking about, the over under, I love the over in this game. I think, like he said, Baker is he went to Tampa now and he's balling. He feels good with those wide receivers. I think Mike Evans could have a big game here. I like Mike Evans anytime touchdown here. Um, and yeah, I like the over here. Like he was saying, I can see Denver. Denver had a kind of a rough start with Pittsburgh, but that Pittsburgh defense is always difficult with Tomlin there. But I think the Broncos here could put up 2 touchdowns, a field goal maybe, and I think the over could be right there to smack at 40.
All right, so you feel sorry, I didn't catch that. Was that Bucks 6.5, or you like Broncos 6.5?
I will lean Bucks 6.5, but I love the over in this game, over 40.5.
All right. So both on the panel agree so far. We got some consistency here. We got the Bucks covering that 6.5 points. As Ty was mentioning, every team that's favored by 6.5 points has won so far this year. So that's good for a Bucks money line in week 3. But both on the panel like the 6.5 spread for the Bucks, and then also over 40. For this matchup, maybe the Broncos could do something. Maybe they have a little spoiler in them. I was watching that week 1 game. That score was like 9-10 before halftime against the Seahawks. But then second half rolls around, the Seahawks start to heat up a little bit. The Broncos scored only 1 touchdown in that game, and that was a Bo Nix run. No passing touchdowns for him in that match. And then, last week they put up 9 points total against the Steelers in their home opener. So that lets me know that the Broncos offense is pretty weak. So I'm not going to get excited all of a sudden on them. And then look, the Bucks last week, how many people picked the Lions money line? Because I know there are people out there that had the Lions money line. You know what I mean? And the
Yes,
Bucks
sir.
came through to Detroit and they made amends for their playoff loss. And they got some momentum now at 2-0. So I'm gonna join you guys here. I'll take Bucks with the 6.5 points. As far as the over/under of 40, like I said, the Broncos scored 9 points last week, so I'm not going to go picking overs in Broncos games yet. I'm going to go under 40 for this one. 26-13 Bucks in Tampa to start off. All right, let's go next up here. This is a second game that we have in the Sunday morning slate. We're going to go from Tampa Bay, Florida, make our way on up to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the Los Angeles Chargers 2-0 coming to town against the Steelers as well, who are 2-0 as well. So good starts for both teams so far. On the road, the Chargers are actually dogs in this matchup. They're 1.5 point dogs. The Steelers are 1.5 point favorites at home. And this is the lowest over-under that we're going to talk about probably all week, but this is 36 total for the over-under. So that's a very low over-under for this matchup. Analytics give the Chargers a 51% chance to win this matchup. Analytics give Steelers 48% chance to win this matchup. So JA, we're going to begin with you. Both teams are 2-0. That's a pretty slim percentage there. That looks like a coin flip, type game to me. How do you feel about this matchup in Pittsburgh?
Yeah. This matchup in Pittsburgh, I like the Chargers here, man. I like the Chargers. If you were to say starting quarterbacks, give me Herbert over Justin Fields every day. And I'm bought in on this Jim Harbaugh thing. He's running the ball a lot, playing good defense, and I think Chargers definitely win by a touchdown here. You could probably buy this up and get this even at even more plus money if you wanted. That's I like the Chargers here over the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 2.5 or money line.
All right, so Jay likes the Chargers this week. Jay, let me throw you a curveball really quick here. And this is a status update from an hour ago. Justin Herbert's high ankle sprain is listed as questionable for Sunday's game against Pittsburgh. There's a chance he doesn't play. If he doesn't play, their 2 backups are Ethan Stick, and they also have Taylor Heineke as well. If Justin Herbert doesn't play this matchup, do you still feel as comfortable with the Chargers on the road?
If they play Taylor Heineke, yes. I feel like Taylor Heineke has enough starts. I like them in Washington, and I feel like he could do it here with the pieces he has. But the Chargers they run the ball. Just don't mess up as the quarterback, run the ball, good defense, Jim Harbaugh staple. I think they could get it done with whoever they have back
All right, Bolt Gang, J.A. Josh Allison is on the Bolts this week. Ty, how do you feel about this
there.
matchup
Chargers.
in Pittsburgh?
So I'm right there with you. I saw the whole injury report with Justin Herbert, which scares me a little bit. It's very hard to flip in a backup quarterback 2 days before you play. And I'm sure he's probably not even gotten, Heineke, let's say he's the number two, probably not getting that many reps with the, offensive one. So it's, in that situation, that's how I play it out I would take the Steelers if Herbert doesn't start. So this right now, I'll play it as it is. Let's say Herbert plays, I would take Chargers plus 1.5. I love that. If he doesn't play, I'm on Pittsburgh. So that'll have to be a game time decision, at least for me on the spread. One weird thing that I do like, though, like you said, this over-under is the lowest one you're going to see all week. It's 36. I have a conspiracy with things. Like when you see an over-under that's that low, it's scary to me, and it makes people want to take the over. I take the under. For this reason,
I'm with you.
Exactly what J.A. said. It is Harbaugh. He wins in the trenches. That man loves a D-line. He loves a front seven. They're going to pound the defense, pound a Pittsburgh offense. I do not trust anybody on the Steelers offense as of right now. And the Steelers defense is great as well. I see this being like another non-touchdown game, like something crazy like 12-6. So for me, my real big pick of this game is the under. If I had to swing, like I said, Herbert starts, I'm taking Chargers. If he doesn't start, I'm taking Pittsburgh.
I love that, Ty. I love that under 35 pick because it's like you said, the lowest total on the board, people want to take that over. It's always the exact opposite. Take lowest total on the board, take the under.
All right, so TC4, Ty Cobb, and also JA have the same picks. Actually, we got some symmetry from both of you from the first game on the slate and also the second game as well. We got spreads and over-unders matching. I'm on a difference on the over-under for the Tampa Broncos game, and both like the under and both like Chargers in this matchup. I hate the questionable news. I hate when they do that to us. It's the same thing for fantasy as well. News comes out today. The guy's questionable. He's probably going to fucking play, but they want to play mind games with the other team. So they're telling you that he's questionable. So now you don't know, what type of defense you got to scheme up for the next guy. You've been prepping for this guy all week. Now in comes Taylor Heineke. The guy's more mobile than Justin Herbert is. Taylor Heineke is down to drop a shoulder. He'll run his way into the end zone if he has to, So they're playing mind
troops.
You know what I mean? They're playing games out here, right? And, Harbaugh's trying to play some chess with this injury report. But, maybe Herbert is injured. It's the NFL. I get so annoyed with these questionable injuries week to week. It's so hard to tell. But he makes all the difference, right? The Chargers are going to be a different team without Justin Herbert than they are with him. And if he doesn't play this game, I'm going Steelers money line. I mean, I'm same thing as you, Ty, Steelers money line. If that news was concrete right now, but that news is not concrete, and I'm going to go with what I went beforehand. I think TJ Watt can win a game by himself. That's something that you have to worry about as a team. He's kind of one of those guys like Myles Garrett. They beat the Falcons week 1, 18-10. They did not score one offensive touchdown, but Chris Boswell kicks 6 field goals for them. He kicked 6 field goals in the game, 6 times 3, all right? And they're down to win games like that. They beat the Broncos 13-9 last week as well. 13 points. That'll win you the game as long as you can hold the opponent to 9 points.
Exactly.
There are things, though, that I trust more about the Chargers roster-wise that I don't trust about the Steelers, and it kind of gets into that offense as well. Also note that the Chargers do have players like Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa on their team as well, and Derwin James on the defensive side of the ball, so that they're used to big moments and playing in tough games. So I like under with both of you guys. I think that is something maybe we could bet, this week. I had a score of 17-14, so I also have under 36 for this matchup, but I'm going to go Chargers with the 1.5 point here. There's just more aspects of their team roster-wise that I like than on the Steelers offense. Really, that's what it comes down to. All right, let's go next up here. We are going to go from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to Cleveland, Ohio, where we got the 0-2 New York Giants going to play the 1-1 Cleveland Browns, who got their win last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Looking like good weather in Cleveland this week. We got 80 degrees total. The Browns are 64% chance favorites at home. The Giants have a 35% chance to win this game. Cleveland is a 6.5 point favorite in this game. That number 6.5 jumps out to me based on what Ty said in the beginning of the podcast. And this over-under is a pretty low one as well at 38.5. So Ty, we're going to kick it off with you in the dog pound. How do you see this one playing out in Cleveland?
Exactly what you said. It's a dog pound. It's hard to go in there and it's hard to play. They are known for playing good defense. The Browns offense, on the other hand, do I trust anybody there? Absolutely not. Deshaun Watson is one of my least favorite players in the NFL. I went to South Carolina, so any Clemson quarterback I hate. I wish both teams, when the Browns and Jacksonville played, could lose. That'd be awesome. But, seeing them both struggle is great for me. So according to this game is a little finicky for me. It's one of those kind of toss-up games. It's really who shows up to play more. I think the Giants cover the spread. That would be my go-to. But I think the Browns win the game. So I like the 6.5 points that the Giants are getting. If I'm gambling, throwing them in a parlay or something like that, I might buy them to 7.5 just to get that touchdown barrier in there. But I think as of a winner of the game, Browns win. But my pick for the spread would be the Giants. Over under at 30 is 8.5. I think is a toss-up as well. I think right now, a lot of people are thinking heavy defense under. So I would be contrary to popular belief and go over 38.5. But that's one that I'm like, there could not be a touchdown or somehow Daniel Jones runs 80 yards and falls on the 5-yard line again and they score again. I don't know. I mean, who knows?
All right, so we got our first dog cover of the podcast, those New York Giants. All hell, they're New York Giants! To cover that 6.5 points. So Ty likes them there, Browns to win as well. And Ty, really quick on the over-under, you over or under 38.5? Over. All right, over 38.5 for this one. Jay, how do you feel about this one in Cleveland?
This one in Cleveland's ugly, man. If you're betting New York and Cleveland, man.
Investing.
Stay away. My option, stay away. Stay away.
Yeah. But if I were to lead something here, I would say Giants as well. This game is stinky. If the spread is up to probably the handle 70% on the Browns, I can see the Giants getting maybe like a last-second field goal, some stinky cover at the end. And, yeah.
So he says it doesn't smell right.
It doesn't smell right, especially with so much of the bet on the Browns. And if this line moves down to anywhere from 5, if this line moves from 6.5 to 6, yeah, it's even more red alarms. So I would be with New York Giants as well, but I would go under here. It's Cleveland. It's ugly game. New York Giants. Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. He's not going to somehow pull something out of his ass, I feel like, this week. It's not this week against the Browns. So
Blake Neighbors, though, he did have a decent little pop-out game last week. So, maybe him getting in the rotation. He has a couple blown coverages.
They need someone on that offense.
They need someone to do something on that offense.
Where's the firepower?
They have Jalen Hyatt, man.
Who? I haven't heard that guy's name once in the NFL. He was phenomenal at Tennessee.
Exactly. I don't get it. I wish. I don't know. I'd take the under here or take Giants plus 6.5.
All right,
dog cover under.
So both JA and Ty Cobb are on the Giants to cover this week, but we got a discrepancy on this game. Ty's going over 38.5, and JA's going under 38.5 for this one. No faith in Daniel Jones. And why would you have?
Or Deshaun Watson.
Oh, massage man himself. No faith in him either.
No massage. He died on that table.
He loves a rubbing.
Hasn't been the same since, bro. Yeah. So for this matchup, look, I start with this. Can the Giants score more than like 13 points in an NFL game? I mean, the Giants are one of those teams where it's kind of hard to watch them play NFL games on Sundays. In week 1, they scored 6 points. Last week, what did they score? Like 15 points against the Commanders, maybe 18 points against it looked a little better, but that's also Washington's defense that they were playing. Not special. Baker Mayfield ran it up on them in week 1. So Look, for this
That was
one, I just kind of, thought about scores that teams are capable of, and I'm going Browns defense in this one. I think Myles Garrett's kind of like TJ Watt. He can win a team a game on his own. So at home, he could make Daniels Jones morning a long morning there in Cleveland. Run defense, pass defense. The Browns have a good defense. They just didn't play good week one against the Cowboys, but they brought it back week two. They went into Jacksonville, who I think has a really good roster, and they beat them 18-13, so they held them to 13 points. If they can hold the Jags offense to 13 points, they can definitely hold the Giants offense to 13 points. So I'm giving the Giants 13 points in this matchup. Here's what I see, though. I see the Browns offense getting a little better now that it's been 2 weeks. It didn't look good week one. It looked a little better last week. They're at least able to put up some points at home. I see them doing a little bit better than last week. I'm not crazy about the Giants defense at all. They got really good guys on their defensive line with Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence, but they haven't played it like it yet. So I'm going to actually give the Browns 21 points here. So I'm going to go Cleveland -6.5, and I'm going to go under 38.5 as well. I agree with you, JA. If we're talking Broncos games, if we're talking Giants games right now, shoot, maybe if we're talking Panthers games, we're not on them yet, but I'm taking unders because these offenses are not looking good so far. All right, let's go. Next up here, we're going to make our way from Cleveland, Ohio, down to the bayou of New Orleans, Louisiana. And we got the Eagles on the road coming off their Monday night loss against the Falcons. They're going to play the New Orleans Saints, who have looked like the hottest team in the entire NFL so far, putting up the most points possible so far within the league. The Saints at home are a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under is 49.5. We got dome weather in New Orleans. And this is also a coin flip game here, kind of like that Steelers-Chargers game that we talked about previous to this. 50% are, 50.9% are on the Saints, 48.7% are on the Eagles. So real coin flip game here. JA, we're going to begin with you. How do you see this one playing out in New Orleans?
this one here. I'm not a big fan of Philly. I haven't been a big fan of Philly, but I'm seeing a Philly win here in New Orleans. I think Philly is the better team than New Orleans. I think New Orleans has had a hot first 2 weeks. Everyone's on New Orleans. Everyone rah rah Derek Carr, rah rah Rashid Heed, Alvin Kamara's back. But for some reason, at home they come here and lay an egg when everyone's talking about them this week. And I think Eagles last week, it's a bounce back spot for the Eagles. They got humiliated on Monday night, and I can see the Eagles winning this game. I don't know why the Saints are favorites all of a sudden, so I would go Eagles money line here.
All right, I like it. I like it. The Birds, they're wounded right now. They got their wings clipped by the Falcons last week, but they stitch up those wings. They fly their way down to New Orleans, and they get back on track.
And I see right now I'm seeing 71% of the spread is on the Saints, which I don't like either. So 71, that much of the public.
When everyone goes left, he likes to go right.
Exactly. I love it. Contrarian beliefs.
Hell yeah. All right, so JA, recite your picks here. We got Eagles plus 2.5. Where are you at on the over-under?
Over-under. High total. Is it the highest total on the board?
So far, 50 points, basically, 49.5.
Yeah. Oh, no, they got the Cardinals in Detroit at 51.5.
Yeah, second highest of the week.
Second highest of the week. Let's go over. Vegas knows there's going to be points. Eagles money line and the over.
My man's out here subliminally communicating with the casino. We're bringing Vegas into the mix right now. That magic number, 49.5. They're trying to bait us with that.
That's a lot of points, man. People are like, that's a lot of points. I'm going to take the under. Nope.
Especially dome environment, too. And the Saints have scored 47 points and 44 points their first two games.
Yeah, exactly. So they could put 21 points up in a losing effort, 24 points up in a losing effort. Like I said, I see the Eagles winning here, bouncing back after last week.
All right, JA's got Eagles plus 2.5, also over 49.5 for this matchup in the Superdome. Ty Cobb, TC, how do you feel about this one in New Orleans?
Um, but no, I'm kind of right there with Jerry. This is one of my favorite games of the week. There's 4 games this week that I absolutely love. I think this game is going to be the defining factor of who are the Saints. Exactly to Josh's point. It's like it's all Saints right now. You've seen what they've done the last 2 weeks. I mean, they had Alvin Kamara, is on fire in fantasy. Rushing for crazy amounts of yards. But I think this is the game they come back to earth. It's hard to keep this status for that long. Also, the way I see it is the NFC South is not very good right now. Yes, you have the Saints. Yes, you have the Bucks. Yes, the Falcons had a slip out win, but the Panthers are no contest. So, I'm thinking that the Eagles need to win this game more than the Saints do. So that's kind of my ideology behind why I think I'm leading Eagles plus 2.5 as well.
What's the more motivated team? Who's more desperate?
I love that the Falcons won because I had Falcons money line, so that was a great payout on a Monday night. But I think the Eagles are pissed and the Saints are on a riding a high. So it's, 2 different attitudes going into the game of like, hey, okay, the Saints, yeah, we're going to keep winning, whatever. And then the Philadelphia Eagles are like, all right, let's go and study the statistic. We can't lose another game like that. That was embarrassing. So for this game, I think I'm also going to go Eagles plus 2.5. I think this is going to be a run game. I think both teams love to run the ball. So I'm going to go under 49.5. Because I think they're going to run up the clock. Too many run scores. I think there's going to be multiple touchdowns in this game. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they'll get to 50. I see this being like a 24-21 game, something like that.
It's so funny. You have 24-21 as your score because I have the exact same score in this matchup pre-podcast. I did record these. However, I'm not sure yet, if I'll reveal which side I'm on here. So Ty likes the under 49.5. Ty also likes Eagles plus 2.5, and both Ty and JA are on the Eagles this week in a bounce back spot to push themselves back to 2-1, and that would settle the Saints down a little bit, pulling them down to 2-1 in the NFC. I have a score of 24-21, but boys, if we're talking Vegas, if we're talking casino, I'm riding the hot hand. And right. who knows what the Saints win was week 1, 47 points against the Panthers. It's the Panthers, right? But they still look good. That's still an NFL defense that they're playing against. And, they're scoring a lot of points and the defense is turning the ball over and they're looking good, right? Cowboys, they come into Dallas last week. Dallas was favored in that game. Actually, was the Cowboys screwed you over 6 points. Yeah. I mean, the Cowboys were 6-point favorites in that game. That's how the public felt about Dallas against New Orleans. And, New Orleans went in there and took care of business right away. I mean, these guys have gotten the ball 15 times, and these guys have scored the ball 15 times. So, and they're home. Now they actually, oh no, they were home week 1. But now they're coming back home after that, doing what they did. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I hate the Eagles. The Eagles are really good, and they've been really good the last few years as well, and they're a scary team to play. But what we have not mentioned yet is the Eagles don't have A.J. Brown, and that guy's a bully on the football field. We saw him get in the end zone week 1 against the Packers in Brazil. I think he makes a big difference, and I think if he's not out there, big body, strong receiver, they got to rely on Devontae Smith to be their number 1. And the Saints have a really good cover defense. The secondary has forced interceptions. I like the way Tyrann Mathieu looked last week. I don't believe Marshawn Lattimore played last week for the Saints, but if they can get him back this week to lock up Devontae Smith, I feel like that makes a big difference. And, we just need to come out and say, like, the Eagles' defense is not great. I mean, the secondary is not great. No, they're not. The Falcons went right down the field in 60 seconds to win that game and shredded the Eagles' secondary. And the Packers put up a bunch of points against them, too. So I'm going to ride the hot hand here. I'm going to go with the Saints with the 2.5 points. Ty, I'm going to join you on the under 49.5. Like I said, I have the same score of you as 24-21, but I'm on the Saints gang for week 3 here, and you guys are fly, Eagles, fly.
I don't like it, man. But
I don't like it either. But you might have convinced me to switch.
Hey, that's why we got to pick a side here, because it's not easy to do, but we're out here picking. Now, will they go in the circle of trust at the end of the podcast? That's to really know, what we feel best about. Are you going into the circle of trust later? All right, let's go next up here. This is a really good matchup that we got. We have the Houston Texans. They're going on the road. They're 2-0, and they're playing another 2-0 team in the Minnesota Vikings, who have looked great to start the season so far as well. This matchup in Minnesota, looking like 60 degrees. Not, no bad weather there in Minnesota, especially like what it's like in the wintertime there. The public has 54% chance of the Texans to win this game with 45% on the Vikings. So a pretty close matchup here and a close spread as well. Houston is 2-point favorites on the road, and the over-under is a medium one at 46 total. So, JA, we're going to begin with you. These are two 2-0 teams, kind of like the Steelers and the Chargers as well, playing against each other this week. Who do you think gets the best of the battle of the 2-0s here in Minnesota?
This here is another good game. Like we were talking about the other game, this is, I feel, another one of those matchups that we have to look at. I love what Minnesota is doing in Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has resurrected himself. He looks like a lot different guy than he did in New York or with the Panthers. He was with the Panthers, right? He was one of the Panthers.
Indeed, he was. We sculpted him into what he is now.
Exactly. But yeah, the Minnesota has it rolling, and they've looked good. But in this matchup, I just feel like if you give me C.J. Stroud or Sam Darnold with two good defenses as well, I'm going to go with C.J. Stroud here. -2.5. I can see the Texans winning by a field goal here. I hope there's nothing like stinky. Like I said, a missed extra point and you Texans win by 2 because it's at 2.5 right now. But I like Texans -2.5. And this one I would lean the under. It looks like it's going to be a competitive game, and I could see it being close down the stretch, and someone wins by a field goal because that's where they have it, the line at 2.5, and I can see a field goal victory. So I would lean the under in that situation. So picks here, I would lean Houston -2.5 and under 46.5.
All right, JA is rolling with the best team in Texas right now, and that's not the Cowboys. That's the Houston Texans.
Yeah,
got the Toros, baby. I don't even know the slogan for the Texans, but we're riding the Toro, the horns, baby. Andre Johnson, Hall of Fame this year. Count it. First Houston Texan ever to go into the Hall of Fame. So JA likes Texans 2 points, 2.5. He also likes under 46, and he's rolling with the Texans on the road to punch their ticket to 3-0. Ty, how do you feel about this one in Minnesota?
So JA, I respect your opinions, but you're wrong. I love the Vikings. I think they're the sleeper team in the NFL. This is my second favorite game of the week. I think this game is going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be the elite game in the 1 o'clock slate. It's going to be so much fun to watch. I have two, you have this brand new Houston Texans team that has come out of nowhere, made the playoffs with C.J. Stroud first year, coming in. They're still hot this year. They look great. So many numbers that they have on offense. It's crazy. Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs. I mean, you could go down the list of all their players they have. But Minnesota surprised the shit out of me last week when they get in and they, handed the 49ers a win. It was crazy.
Took a lot of
how good they looked. I mean, they're blowing back coverages. When you think great defenses in the NFL, you think the 49ers. And to see what Minnesota could do against them, it leaves me no doubt in my mind that, I will ride them until they prove me wrong. So that's kind of my mentality as of right now. I know Houston's good, but kind of looking into the Vikings league and, their conference, I think, they have a very strong conference and they have to continue this streak if they want to have any shot of making the playoffs. Also, Vikings at home are scary. That dome is super loud. It echoes very well, so it's very intimidating to play in. I know they do it's annoying, but God, it's only annoying because my team doesn't have that. If it was my team, it'd be awesome. So I'm leaning. If I'm taking a spread, I'm doing Minnesota +2. I'm going to money line Minnesota. I love that. I think that they're going to continue to go out there and shoot.
+114.
Also, I see over 46. I think, in the early slate, you don't have a lot of good games. You have a lot of unders that we've already kind of gone over. They're not very high-scoring games. I see this game, exactly to your point of winning by a field goal, I see this game going to overtime and winning by a field goal and it being something crazy, having like a 38-34, something like that, high-scoring, fun game to watch. Red zone covers every play that they have, a couple 70-yard touchdowns, things of that sort. JJ is going to have another 90-yard or 97-yarder. It'll be a very – as a 1 o'clock game, it's my favorite game. The one I'm looking most forward to watching. So for my picks, I'm going Vikings +2. If Vikings money line, and over 46.
All right, we got two different islands
There we
here.
go.
We got a Screwston, Texas island with JA, and we got a Minneapolis Miracle island with TC riding the Vikings. Boo! For week 3 here in this matchup. Which island do I want to join here? Hey, look, I'm still tipping on 4-4s. I'm wrapped in 4-4s, and that's in Houston, Texas right now. I got the candy paint dripping. Yeah, so look, for me, especially as a Cowboys fan, the Texans have done everything this offseason I wish we could do. They went out and signed Stephon Diggs. They went out and got Joe Mixon. They went out and signed Danielle Hunter from the Vikings. The Texans make moves. CJ Stroud is him, period. That guy is him. And you wouldn't have known it watching his preseason games before he got going in the NFL because he threw some picks in the preseason. There was some skepticism. If the Panthers knew he was as good as they would have drafted him #1 overall, but they didn't. They drafted Bryce Young. Now, if you put a Panthers helmet on CJ Stroud, don't you think things would be a little bit different if CJ Stroud was in there for the Panthers? I don't think they would be 2-16 in the 18 chances that he gets to play football games. You know what I mean? So CJ Stroud is that dude, and the Texans defense is pretty good. We saw that last week on Sunday Night Football against the Bears. They shut down Caleb Williams, and they held the Bears in check, who have some good players on offense. And I'm riding with JA this week, so I'm going to go with the Texans here and the 2 points. Do I have the balls? Do I have the nuts to put them in the parlay of this week? I don't know, because this is a 2-point swing game, and everything that Ty is saying I could buy into too, because Flores has looked great for them. The thing I hear about the Vikings is that they're really good at disguising blitzes and confusing guys. And Brock Purdy told Flores after the game, he's like, "You got a really good defense. Like you really messed me up in that game." And they beat the Niners last week. They lost a lot of people money. A lot of people had the Niners money line last week in Survivor, all that stuff. You know it. And they beat them. So there's something real about the Vikings for sure. But Houston Texans, baby, that's who we're riding this week. So I'll take them with the 2 points. As far as the over-under here, I'm going to go over 46. I think CJ Stroud can put up points. I think the Vikings have proven they can put up points as well. Aaron Jones was a good signing for them this offseason. Jay Jettis with the 97-yard touchdown last week, and Sam Darnold threw that ball, so he's looking better as well. So let's go 26-23 Texans in one of the best matchups of the week so far. All right, let's go. Next up here, we got the Green Bay Packers. They're coming off of their win last week with Malik Willis against the Indianapolis Colts. JA, you love your man AR-15. So they're going to play the Tennessee Titans on the road. Titans, tough start to the season. They're 0-2 now. Tennessee at home is a 2-point favorite. The over-under is 38. Looking like good weather in Nashville, about 90 degrees. And 54% of the public is riding with the Packers. So, JA, let's begin with you. How do you see this one shaping out in Tennessee?
I think this one could be a spot for Tennessee to win one here. They're 0-2, and they're favored by 2.5. So that's telling to me. I like that if a team with a worse record is favored, I think they're favored for a reason. And Malik Willis, I haven't seen him play enough. I didn't watch the game last week.
16-10.
Could you guys?
So
not much there.
Packers defense.
Will Levis isn't much better either, but at home, Tennessee, favorited 0-2 team, favorited to win the game at home. I can see -2.5. Tennessee, I'd go over in this game. I can see points for some reason. I see Will Levis bouncing back, having a couple touchdowns after those horrendous fumble picks, whatever they were. Those were horrible.
Get your head in the game, son.
Like, what the fuck are you doing, son? Come on now.
Get your head in the game, son.
Those were just horrible. But the fact that Vegas has them as 2.5 favorites, I'm going to take Tennessee at -2.5. Why are those guys favored at -2.5? I don't know. They know. So I'm just going to ride -2.5.
All right. So JA's got the Teen Titans with the 2 points here. And he's also going over that total of 38, which is a low one there. TC, how you feeling about this one in Tennessee?
I hate this game. Not gonna lie.
Horrible game.
I think it's a horrible game. But the thing that kind of stands out to me is if Green Bay has Jordan Love, they are 6.5 point favorites. I think it's all based on because that we haven't seen the backup come in yet. We haven't seen him play. Haven't seen what they're really going to do. But I don't think Tennessee is good at all. I think Will Levis, exactly what you said, Ja. Has had countless errors. Exactly what he tried to scramble and dish that ball, accidentally fumble backwards, getting yelled at by the coach. I think with this game, my biggest pick is the under because I think what they do is you have two very not good quarterbacks, so I think they run the ball 100 times this game. I think it's constant handoffs, first down every single down or every single set of drives is going to be a handoff. I think, and then even second and third down are probably going to be maybe one pass play over here and there. So for me, I think I'm going to go under in this game, and I think it's kind of a toss-up. I think with what the Packers have defensively, I think you can see a defensive touchdown from them in potential. I think Will Levis likes to throw picks. Could be, on the 25-yard line right after a kickoff, throw a pick six. Green Bay ends up winning the game. So I'm going to go Green Bay +2 on this one and the under. But I trust me, neither of these teams will be in my parlay.
All right, so TC is riding Go Pack Go for week 3 to punch themselves. He's riding the Pack for week 3 here, so he's got Packers +2 on the road. But that over/under, even though it's 38, that's too much for him. And the final score last week of the Packers game was 16-10, so that puts you at 26 points total. So TC is going under 38 for this matchup. So we got some discrepancies here. We got two different sides of the island. I can go join the Packers island with TC, or I can go join that Titans island over there with JA. And this week, I'm going with TC in this matchup here in Tennessee. I thought the Colts would win that game last week, JA. I mean, I know you love Anthony Richardson, and I was like, all right, Malik Willis for the Packers, like, give me the other team. And they won that game. And I think it's more to do with the Packers defense. I think the Packers defense is pretty solid. They didn't look great week 1 against the Eagles, but they got good players on that defense. They were a playoff team last year. There's something about the Packers infrastructure organization that I trust more than a new head coach, Brian Callahan with the Tennessee Titans, and a boneheaded quarterback in Will Levis, who's looked that way the first 2 weeks. They should have beat the Bears week 1. They gave that game away. They were way up in the first half. They blew the second half with his pick 6. And they kind of gave the game to the Jets as well. Like, they were in that game, but he had some costly turnovers too. So there's just more about the Packers than I trust. The Tennessee Titans kind of pains me because I'm not like a high on Malik Willis for any reason or a lot of reason to trust him, but he did win an NFL game last week. I think their team as a whole can, grind this out, and I'm going to go under with Ty as well. So I got the Pack 20-17 in this matchup. All right, let's go next up here. We're going to go from Nashville, Tennessee, and we're going to make our way on up to Indianapolis, Indiana, where we were just talking about Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts. They're going to be hosting the Chicago Bears in this matchup. These two cities not too far away from each other. The Colts are 1.5-point favorites at home. The over/under is 43.5. 52% of the public is on the Colts this week, and that's about 47% are on the Bears this week. So TC, we're going to begin with you here in Indy. Who do you like in this matchup?
I like this game. It's a battle of brand new quarterbacks. I mean, Anthony Richardson, yes, he got injured. So, it's almost like this is a year 1 for him. He's still kind of figuring things out. Didn't get much playing time last year. So I think, this is kind of like starting out. And then obviously you have Caleb Williams, coming into a, brand new Bears team. They redefined everything, added a lot of offensive receivers, things of that sort. So I think this game is kind of a defining moment for both teams of how good are each one of these teams. I think they're both middle of the pack right now, and I think either one of them could excel to have a playoff shot if they kind of put everything they have together. That being said, Anthony Richards and the Colts haven't shown me enough. Do I think Caleb Williams has? Not really either. But in my opinion, I think he's barely into the NFL. He's starting to figure it out. He's starting to look better and better. I mean, he's still a little shaky, but I think he's starting to get a read NFL defenses a little better. So I think in this game, it's going to be a little bit of a shaky game, not that fun to watch. But I would go Chicago Bears +1.5. It's a head flip. It's a coin flip. It's almost like you're just choosing money lines at this point. So if I can get the 1.5 points, I think it'd be, like something crazy. Like you have like a 21-20, something of that sort. So with that final score as well, that also leads me to go with the under. I don't think either of these teams have an incredibly explosive offense. So I don't think you're going to see these big plays. I think you're going to see a lot of, hammer the ball down the field, take 8 minutes to score a field goal or, 9-minute drive for a touchdown. So I don't see it being a very high scoring game. And I think it's going, both teams leading multiple times during the game, come down to a last second field goal. Whoever has the ball can maybe win the game by a point or two. That being said, I'll go Bears plus 1.5 and under 43.
So who's your winner for this matchup?
I think the Bears. I would take Bears money line. It's a coin flip. If I'm getting plus 102 for Bears and minus 122 for Colts, I would rather have plus 102. I think
Bears.
I mean, yeah, you put it on your nails, a little zesty, but maybe you can come out and
play. Bears. All right, so TC is riding the Bears this week, plus 1.5, and then also going under that 43.5 for this week as well, and riding the Bears this week in week 3 in Indy. That would push the Bears to 2-1 because they got their win over the Titans in week 1, and then that would push the Colts to 0-3. If the Colts lose to the Bears this week, that's a rough start at 0-3. JA, how do you feel about this matchup in Indy?
Like you said, two evenly matched teams. Coin flip, in my opinion, as well. But what it comes down to, in my opinion, and why I'm leaning this way, is the Bears. The Bears' offensive line is horrible. The Bears' offensive line is horrible. Probably one of the worst in the league. And I
was grabbing the rocket. I was grabbing that rocket arm. That's what I thought was going to be your first reason for how you're feeling. You love that guy.
I love AR-15. He's a raw talent. It looks good. It looks good coming out of his hands. The ball looks fabulous coming out of his hands. He can be falling over like we saw week 1, falling over, get back up and deliver a bomb.
75 bomb.
But like you said, it's still like his first season. He's still trying to feel things out. Injured all last year. So I feel like he could still be going through that growth process where it's not going to be a lot of points scored, and I like the under here. But I would have to lean Colts -1 or -1.5 at the end of the day, just based off that offensive line. And I think the Colts will get a couple sacks here, kill some drives, and that will be key down the stretch. And the Colts will win by a field goal maybe just because they create more possessions for themselves.
All right. We got the horse riding into the stable this week. JA's on that Colt riding in over that bear. We got a kick to the face. I mean, the bear just caught a kick to the face from the Colt, and they're catching an L this week.
I can't see the 0-3 start. It's a little bit of I can see them going 1-2, 0-3. I don't really see. I feel like this is the game they win, bounce back. Colts at home. Yeah, Colts money line.
All right. So we got some discrepancy here out in Indianapolis, Indiana, where we're going to be on Sunday morning. JA is riding the Colts in this matchup. TC is riding the Bears in this matchup. And both are going under 43.5 for this matchup as well. So I got two decisions here. Do I ride with the Bears and TC, or do I ride with the Colts and JA? JA, I'm going to come join you here. Your boy, Anthony Richardson.
AR-15.
AR-15. They had the Texans on the ropes week 1. They couldn't get it done. They laid an egg last week in Green Bay, couldn't get it done. But they're home this week. They're back. They got a chance to redeem themselves. And, Chicago's offense, it looked off to me last week against the Texans. It wasn't all there. It really does look like they're figuring things out. Could they come out and play great? Sure. Also Keenan Allen was out last week as well. I'm not sure of his status right now. He makes a big difference, but if he can play for the Bears, that makes a big difference as well. But we talked about motivation. We talked about desperation, all those things. The Colts seem like they've been knocking the first 2 weeks. And I think the horse kicks down the stable this week and gets back in. So I'm going to ride
2 hours ago, Shefty posted wide receiver Keenan Allen is out for Sunday's game.
All right, so even more reason for
Shefty is probably true.
That's right. He's dropping Shefty bombs out there. Got reputation on the line. He can't be putting out misinformation. So yeah, let's join JA here. Colts in this matchup, money line. The funny thing though, for me in this pick for this game is I'm actually going to go Bears plus 1.5. I think the final score of the Eagles
Wow.
Falcons game on Monday night was 22-21, and this is some fucking 1 point game that I can see.
Yep.
And the
Oh,
Colts are going to save themselves in this matchup. So I like a score of 21-20, and I'm going to ride the Colts in this matchup. That also puts me under as well. So I agree the under island that we're riding. But JA, we're riding this horse together. All right, next up.
okay.
We have TC's team, the Carolina Panthers, the 0-2 Panthers. They've benched Bryce Young. They've seen enough as of right now, and the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, is going to get his first start of the season. They're going to play the Las Vegas Raiders, who successfully bounced me out of all Survivor leagues that I've been in this season, beating the Baltimore Ravens on the road last week. And the Raiders at home are a 5 point favorite. The over-under is 40 for this matchup in Vegas. Looking like good weather out there in Vegas, 90 degrees, and 63% of the public is on the Raiders. That's about 38% that's on the Panthers this week. So TC, you're a Panthers fan. We got to start with you. How you feeling about this one in Vegas?
Um, I think this is do or die for us. I think we come in with Andy Dalton, win this game, or we go 0-16. I think there's very little hope for the Panthers this week. I think as you can see, the public is very on them. My one thing that kind of flags me though is why -5. -5 seems like a weird spread to me. It seems like it should be higher in the Raiders favorite. So as a devoted Panthers fan, like I said, for my entire life, it's a little weird to me. Andy Dalton, he's been in the league for a long time, knows how to play offense, knows how to read defenses. I think this is an ugly game. I think the Raiders winning last week against the Ravens was kind of a fluke game. I don't think either team played super pretty. Gardner Minshew's been in the league for 10 years now, which is crazy to think about. But it's I don't know if they're all that. They're playing at home. It's in a dome though, and I feel like in Vegas, you never really know what you're going to get as far as fans. It's not like they have a massive swing. I think you're going to get random fans from other teams in that stadium just because it's Vegas. I think this is one of the games this week that's kind of a trap bet game. So it's like, we'll put it at -5. So everybody takes Raiders -5. So they're like, oh, that's great. So for me, as a Panthers fan, this is going to be the last week I moneyline them unless they win. So that's going to be one of my picks. That's not my pick for this game on the parlay with the G's. My pick is Panthers +5. Crazy to say. I think it's, I'm praying on a hill that it happens. At the same time, I think there's not going to be a lot of points scored. I think this is going to be, both offenses struggling, a lot of run plays. You have multiple field goals, not a lot of touchdowns. So I'm going to go under 40 in this game, Panthers +5, praying to the football Jesus that, maybe my team can win one game.
All right, so TC is on Panthers +5, under 40. Not a lot of points in this matchup, but TC, you got Raiders money line, right?
Yeah. In the parlay, I think that'll probably be in there.
So, inadvertently, he just admitted that the Panthers are going 0-16 this season because that was, what he said is going to happen if they lose this week. Hey, you get a number 1 draft pick if you go 0-16.
Nah, we'll trade it away.
You can draft Bryce Young with that number 1 draft pick.
I mean, I think our team as a whole is just lost. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know. I have zero confidence in this, but as a diehard fan, there's still a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel that maybe we could find something. But
are you cool with Canales from the Bucks? Should they have kept Steve Wilkes?
I don't think either one is a great option as of right now. I don't think either one of them are like, obviously, he won 2 games. We didn't lead a single second in the regular season last year. We won 2 games after time expired.
Frank Reich.
Yeah. Frank Reich. I was about to say. So I think the Panthers are just a laughing stock of the NFL. I mean, I'm surprised the commissioner hasn't gone to him and be like, you guys got to figure something out. You can't be selling tickets for 19 cents. We need more viewers, so we got to figure something out. So I think this is kind of like a do or die for the Panthers. It's, maybe turn some heads this week, maybe turn some heads for the rest of the season, or sell the team, move on, scrap it, sort of.
Yeah, well, you're an investor, so smart money is smart money. So Raiders money line, but you like the Panthers to cover that +5 and under 40. JA, how do you feel about this one in Vegas?
This one in Vegas, man, like you said, Panthers are a lost team. Like, uh, the line started at seven, +7. Why is the line down to +5 now?
Is that really
70% of
Andy
the
Dalton?
bet.
Can he move it that
70.
far?
Andy Dalton's moving the
Red
line two
Rifle, he'll
points.
get you 2 points on the spread.
The Raiders are what, 73%? 70. I'm seeing 76% spread on the Raiders, and the line moved down to 5. That's revert. That's eye opening for me. So even though the Carolinas god awful, horrible team, lost team, first 2 weeks haven't shown up. The Red Rocket goes back there this week and covers +5.
It's a trap bet.
It
It's a
makes
trap. The line is a trap.
it makes no sense. Why is the line moving down to 5 when most of the money's coming in on Raiders?
Vegas knows.
That's
They want to
that's
juice. They want to juice it even more. They're like, we're going to move the line down so you get, you're only at the Raiders have to cover less points. So more people are going to bet on the Raiders, and the Panthers are going to come out and like this will be one of the games where they win and they kill every Survivor league or Survivor player
Yeah.
across the country.
Vegas would love Carolina money. Carolina money line, like you said. I don't know if I'm gonna die on that hill though.
Plus
Carolina
190.
money line.
Plus 190. It's not even that
But like
great,
you said,
honestly. The risk that
if
you
they're
have to
gonna
take
win
to
a
get
game,
plus 190.
if they're
Now, if
gonna
it's
win a
plus
game,
500, that
this
sounds appetizing.
But like you said, this could be the game they show up for whatever reason, and I could see Carolina possibly winning, covering 5.5. So I'm gonna go Carolina +5.5. And like I don't like the points, like you said, it's gonna be a low scoring affair. So I like under 40 as well.
All right, you got Raiders money line, JA.
I don't like it at all, but Raiders money line, yeah. Like I said,
You
this
can't
one's
see my bet
stinky.
slip. I just hopped on DraftKings, found Panthers at +215 money line. I put 50 on it. It'll be the last time I do it if they lose.
It's like
Come on, Thurns.
come on, Panthers.
Come on. Help.
Plus, he's got
Exactly.
his plus money. See, that's betting with your heart, not your head. And we need to have a conversation about that. All right, so JA is got Panthers +5, same thing as TC as well this week. Both are on under 40 as well, so we got some symmetry there. But we have Raiders money line publicly, but yet on the side, TC is going to slip a little 50 on Panthers to get some +215 value there.
Why not?
Why not?
There's some value at +215 there. It's the Vegas Raiders.
Hey TC,
If they win a game,
I'm still holding you to Raiders money line though when we come back next week. So you get counted in that category if when we're counting.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, for me this matchup here, you guys are both on the Panthers to cover. You guys are both on the under as well. Hey, look, Max Crosby is one of those guys like TJ Watt and like Myles Garrett that can literally win a football game by himself. The Raiders defense they can force turnovers. The Raiders screwed me last week. Bad. I mean, I feel really good about Baltimore. That's one team I feel great about. I had the Ravens in my parlay last week. I had the Ravens as my survivor pick last week. I thought there was no way that the Raiders went into Baltimore and won that game, but the Raiders did. And that showed me something about them. And honestly, I wish I picked against the Panthers both weeks here in Survivor. I wish I took the Saints week 1, and I wish I took the Chargers week 2, but I didn't. I took 2 AFC North teams, died with the Bengals week 1, and died with the Ravens week 2. With all that being said, there's more things that I like about the Raiders than I do about the Panthers. I think they got some momentum right now. So if it's 5 points, I'll take them as a touchdown better team with that defense against the Panthers. So give me the Raiders -5 in this matchup. And I'm also going to join both of you as well on that under 40. I think the Raiders defense is good. They're going to be able to force turnovers. And I don't trust the Panthers offense. I don't trust them anymore with Andy Dalton in there either, the Red Rifle. The real Red Rifle is Max Crosby, and he's coming off the edge, and he's about to cause some problems on Sunday. So give me the Raiders here. All right, next up, we got the Miami Dolphins. They're swimming their way over to Seattle, Washington to play the Seahawks this week. Seattle on the road, or sorry, Seattle at home is a 4.5 point favorite. The over-under is 41.5. Biggest news for the Dolphins is that Tua is on injured reserve now with the concussion that he got last week against the Bills. In comes Skylar Thompson to be the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. So that's why we have that 4.5 point line. In this matchup here, looking like good weather in Seattle, 65 degrees, nothing too much to worry about there. Looking sunny as well. And about 67% of analytics have the Seahawks winning this matchup with 33% on the Dolphins. So, JA, we're going to begin with you in Seattle. How do you see this one playing out for Seahawks Dolphins?
Seahawks Dolphins. Seahawks at home, 2-0. Miami. We saw Skylar Thompson play last year, right? At the end of last year.
He went in the playoff game against the Bills 2 years ago.
Yep.
And that game was,
Okay.
he looked okay and they kind of kept it close, but he also went in last week and they just hit a flat tire as soon as he came in. Maybe everything was deflated at that point, but we have seen him a little bit. Enough for them to trust him and not go sign Ryan Tannehill, on waivers this week or anything like that.
And Seattle barely beat New England last week and had trouble with Denver in week 1. I like Miami to cover here, +5. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't know why Seattle is 5-point favorite. I don't think Seattle's that good this year. I think this is a close game, field goal game. Seattle at home. Yeah, give me Miami +5. Just because Seattle hasn't impressed me the first 2 weeks with struggling with Denver and New England. And I don't think Skylar Thompson, he's had time to learn. Like you said, this full week, he went in last week, struggled, has had this full week now to prepare. So I think he'll come out a little bit better. And I can see Miami covering +5. And I will go the over 41.5. For some reason, I don't know why this is just gut. For some reason over. I have nothing over 41 and over 41
You
and a
you
half.
have a Cheetah and you have a Waddle and you got an Achane and Mostert if he's gonna play.
Exactly, they're fast. They can score, and I like 5 +5. And if it moves down to +4.5 and it keeps moving down that way, I'd love it even more.
All right, and who's your money line for this matchup?
Let's go money line Miami.
Woo!
I'm not with Seattle. I don't think Seattle's that
Hands
good.
up, baby!
Kenneth Walker's going to be out this week as well.
Uh-oh. Big Charbonnet day.
Yeah. SDSU.
Hey.
Yeah.
Our Fins up money line. Fins to cover
Fins
4.5 and over 41.5.
Yeah. Yep. Seahawks are public. Started at 6. The line started at 6.5. Has moved all the way down to 5 now. So I'm going to follow the line movement again. Miami.
All right, JA's got that Seahawk flying over Lake Washington, and that Dolphin's jumping out of that water and eating his ass, bringing him back down beneath the depths. TC, how do you feel about this one in Seattle?
I'm the exact same way. I think the Seahawks have, they're healthy and they haven't proven anything. They're not great. I don't think they have a lot of talent around their roster. I think they're kind of one of those low-key teams that somehow sneaks out wins at the end of the game, and you're kind of like, they're irrelevant most of the season. Miami, though, on the other hand, you just listed off, their offensive core, and it's crazy the statistics that they have. Mostert, Achane, you can hand the ball off to them. They scored 2 touchdowns if you just let them run all game. Then you have so many receivers, it's hard to cover all of them. Somebody typically is going to be open. So, in my opinion, I'm right there with them. I think I take Miami money line, Miami +4.5. The over/under, though, is a little shaky to me. I could see Miami putting up 30 points, and I could see the Seahawks putting up 4. Something crazy, like they get 2 safety, something weird. I don't see them being good overall is kind of my thing. So I think as far as over under, I'm going to go under, but I think my sleeper pick of the week for money line is Miami money.
All right, and you get good value there, with the Dolphins plus 164 if you like them in a money line bet. You also get some good value on the Panthers if you pick a money line this week.
I'm a value man.
Love
so
value.
real quick, TC, are you over or under that 41.5?
I am under that 41.5.
All right, so we got a discrepancy on the total. JA is going with the over. TC is going with the under for this week. Both like plus 4.5, and both like Dolphins. Fins up money line this week. So we got two dogs that are really a Dolphin in Seattle this week. For me in this matchup, I watched Skylar Thompson go into that game. I do have Tyreek Hill on one of my fantasy teams, and that was a nightmare because he didn't look good at all at the end of that game. Yeah, granted, he will have more time to prepare here in this matchup this week, but I'm not ready to buy a Skylar Thompson win yet. So that's how I look at this matchup here. Seattle, Geno Smith is steady. He can definitely win close games. He's been in battles. And one guy to spotlight on their defense is Tariq Woolen. He's a phenomenal cornerback, and their safety Love as well is really good too. So I think Tariq Woolen can match up. He's not going to lock down Tyreek Hill, but also Skylar Thompson's got to get him the ball for Tyreek Hill to be effective. And he's a really good cornerback that can make it tough on Tyreek Hill on Sunday. So with all that being said, I'm going to go Dolphins to cover that 4.5 points. I'm going to go under 41.5 as well. I'm going to join TC on the over-under. And then I'm actually going to go Seahawks to win this game 20-17. I know it hasn't looked amazing for them yet, but they are 2-0. They have found a way to win. And I think they can do it at home again this week against the Finns. All right, JA, we got a great matchup coming out here in the desert in Phoenix, Arizona for this next matchup that we have on the slate. And we got some Detroit Lions coming into town to play the Arizona Cardinals in this matchup. On the road, Detroit is a 3-point favorite. The over-under is 51.5. In this matchup here, good weather out there in the desert, 94 degrees. And this is in a complete coin flip game that we're looking at analytics-wise. About 49% chance for each team to win this game, basically 50-50, 49.9 versus 49.7. So, JA, we got to begin with you. The Cardinals looked great last week. I know you had some questions about Kyler's leadership, but he looked good last week. How do you feel about this one in the desert?
This week, it's going to be an exciting game, I think, this one, Denver, Arizona. No, not Denver, Detroit, Arizona. Like you said, Kyler has looked great. Is this the year where he can put it all together and do it consistently for the Birds? I don't know. This game will be huge for that, huge for the Cardinal season moving forward. And that being said, like you said, it's a coin flip game. It's 50-50. Whenever it's like that, I like taking the points, man. At home dog, +3, close game, lots of points, highest total on the board, 51.5, shootout. Give me Cardinals +3.
All right, so JA's got his Rise Up Red Sea Birds +3. JA over under 51.5.
Over 51.5. Highest total on the board.
Over. And then your money line.
Money line, Arizona money line, +3. We might as well go money line.
Ooh,
at home.
Big statement game.
I think Detroit's offense didn't look too good last week either, so I feel like they're still going through some growing pains possibly. And if this could be the year for Kyler to put it all together, this is the game to show like all of Arizona that, yeah, this is the year that we could do something.
All right, hell yeah. So JA's going with the Rise Up Red Sea. I don't know how a Cardinal sounds, but it's definitely not a tweet. It's definitely stronger than a, you got the Birdman out there in Phoenix. All right, so JA's got Birds +3, over 51.5, Cardinals money line. TC, how do you feel about this one in Glendale?
Like we were yucking earlier, this is my game of the week. This game is going to be incredible. I think this game is going to be a shootout. It is going to be so much fun to watch. Jay, exactly to your point. I was telling you before, we officially started this podcast, we were talking at the beginning, like I think Kyler Murray has the potential to put up an MVP season. He is looking better than he ever has in the pocket. He can scramble and he's making passes on the run. He looks very, very good. Kind of feels like he has, a very in-depth, in-tone offense right now with how he plays. And I think they've more adapted to his play style than trying to make him play into an offense, which I think has really set the tone for them this year. Exactly to your point, too. The Lions, as good as they are, I love the Lions last year. I do love them this year. I think they put up a fight to win their division. I think they are a little shaky on ends. At some points they kind of look all right. Aiden Hutchinson is one of my favorite rushers. You were talking about rushers that can dominate a game. I mean, he had 5 sacks last week. He's one of my favorite players. So I think this is going to be an incredible game, a fight to the death. One of these last second field goal games, things like that. But, in my opinion, I think I'm going to stick with you here, JA. I'm going to go Cardinals money line, and I'm also going to go over 51.5. I think, it's on the 425 slate. And, there's 3 games here, and I think red zone's going to be like, why are we playing any other game? We'll just watch this one. There's a touchdown every 3 minutes. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. And the Cardinals are going to come out and kind of shock everybody in the league and be like, oh my God, this is a team that we're kind of scared to play. We don't want to play this team. So I'm going Cards +3, Cards money line over 51.5.
Woo!
Bam.
Fight to the death.
All right. So we got Cardinals money line, Cardinals +3, and TC one more time. Over under that 51. Over under? Over. Exciting game of the week. Most exciting game. Points coming up in the desert here. You guys are both, symmetrical on 2 dogs that we just talked about. You guys both like the Finns, and you guys both like the Birds this week. And look, for this matchup in the desert, I definitely like what I've seen from the Cardinals. Week 1 going up on the Bills in Buffalo. I know it's week 1, but they look good. Obviously, they look like they've been working in the offseason. They put something good together for their first campaign. They lost that game. But last week, Jay, what did I say to you in that Rams game? I said I trust the Rams organization. They always beat the Cardinals, and that wasn't the case last week. So we definitely know we're seeing improvement. Like, we know we're seeing improvement with the Cardinals, especially with putting up 41 points as well. But, hey, look, the Lions are a division winner for me this year based on how they looked last year. So I've got them in the North. I know they lost last week to the Bucks, but that doesn't mean like they've fallen off a bridge or anything like that. They still got all the pieces to be that NFC Championship team that they were last year, not too long ago. So as far as these 2 teams rank in the NFC, the Lions are higher on my list than the Cardinals are. I want to see the Cardinals do it. If they beat the Lions this week, then we know like they're pretty for real, because they've had a tough slate to start off. You had to play the Bills, you had to play the Rams, and then now you're getting the Lions after that as well. But I'm going to go Lions money line in this matchup. That's something that, I just feel like in my mind is what I'm feeling. 51.5 points is a lot, so I'm going to go under 51.5 points. And I'm actually going to go Cardinals +3. The Cardinals are a really good team at covering. I've followed them over the past few seasons. They're usually good at covering whatever their deficit is in a spread. So I'm going to go Arizona +3 in this matchup, and give me another 1-point game like I mentioned earlier when we were talking about the Colts and Bears. I'm going to go Lions 24, Cardinals 23, right down to the wire type game. But love that both of you are on the Birds this week. Okay, let's stay in the NFC West, and we're going to go over to LA, where the San Francisco 49ers are going to play the Rams. The 49ers are 7-point favorites in this matchup. The over-under is 44.5. The Rams are 0-2 to start the season. The Niners are 1-1. 64% of analytics have the Niners winning this matchup. TC, we're going to begin with you. Who do you like in LA?
I don't see what the Rams are really putting together this year. They have a crazy amount of injuries. I mean, Nakua out. I mean, they have Cooper Kupp is questionable. And I think the Niners are pissed they lost last week. I think the Niners come out here and win by 3 touchdowns. I think they're going to come out and prove it to the league that they are, as good as they say they are. They shouldn't have lost to Minnesota. I think Minnesota's better than people think they are. And so this week, I'm heavily leaning San Francisco as well. -7 doesn't bother me at all. I might buy it to -13.5. Over under though, I don't really know if I like it. I might lean just to San Francisco team over. If that's an option, if I had to pick over under, I would take under just because I don't think the Rams are going to be able to score a lot of points on the Niners defense. So if I was taking over under every game, I do under. I would do team total of the 49ers over 49ers spread 49ers money line.
All right. So JA is going under because of the Rams deficits that they have, but loves the Niners this week. Would even take them to win the game by 14 points or more. So big Niners game win this week in LA. JA, how do you feel about this one?
I see it's the same exact way here. 6.5 feels like a steal. You can get minus 6.5, 49ers by a touchdown. Great. Hammer that. I love the under 2 as well. I don't think LA scores many points here with all the injuries. And I do think San Francisco is a little banged up as well. So they might not be as high octane as we think. So I could see San Francisco winning somewhat like 24-7, 24-10 maybe, like not many points by LA. And yeah, minus 6.5, under 43. Easy.
All right, we got some symmetry out there in LA, both on the spread, both on the over-under with the under as well. I'm right there with you guys. Niners -7, if anything. The Rams are depleted. Yeah. They have some issues that they're working through. No Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp he's doubtful, actually. I do want to mention one other player that's doubtful. That is Deebo Samuel. So he's most likely not going to play this one. True. Glad I swooped Juwan Jennings up in fantasy waivers this week. Hopefully he gets a big game. But, the Niners have proven they've got depth on their team, and they proved that with CMC being out this year and being able to get a win week 1. So Niners -7 for me, under 44.5 because of the Rams deficits and injuries. And I'm actually going to take like a closer game here than you guys are thinking, but I'm going to take Niners 24-16 in this matchup. All right, next up, we got the Baltimore Ravens, the 0-2 Baltimore Ravens. They're going on the road
yes, sir.
to play the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry's World. Ravens on the road this week. This is a coin flip, 1-point favorites on the road. The over-under is 48.5 for this matchup. Good weather out there in Arlington, 93 degrees, and about 54% of analytics have the Ravens winning this matchup. So why don't I tee it off here to start this one? Look, I'm a Cowboys fan because my dad gave me an Emmitt Smith jersey, and I grew up around Giants fans, and I just kind of wrote it out from there. Before that, love Randy Moss, rooted for him in the Vikings, and born in Atlanta, so used to root for the Falcons. But really at this stage, I'm an outspoken Cowboys fan, and of course I'm going to root for them to win this game. But as far as them actually winning this game, I can't trust the Cowboys organization over the Ravens organization. The Ravens have been a top 4 team in the league over the past few seasons, the way they're finishing these seasons. And, week 1 was rough. They lost by a toenail week 1, basically, with Likely in the back of the end zone there. So they easily could have beat the Chiefs. And then, they had a hiccup last week against the Raiders, but there's way more about the Ravens roster and how they're run than the Cowboys that I trust. And look what the Cowboys did last week. They laid an absolute egg to the Saints. We couldn't stop a cold, for the Saints offense there. I couldn't stop a nosebleed, whatever you want to say. TSA security, I'm going to pat your chest. I'm going to tap it twice, and you go in with all the guns that you're coming in with. So we can't stop anyone, and I don't see that getting better. If we can't stop Alvin Kamara running the ball all over us, do we really think we can stop Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry? I don't think so. Ravens, money line in this matchup. We'll make it dramatic and keep it close. But I'm going to take Ravens 27-24. That's over 48.5, and Baltimore -1. TC, I'll pass it to you.
The boys, more like their shit. I have never been a Cowboys fan. I love you to death, AG, but Cowboys have never been a fan of mine. At the same time, do I think the Ravens
Texans fans
are good this year? Yeah, exactly. I'm looking for any team that's not the Panthers. The Ravens also haven't really shown themselves this year. I think Lamar Jackson has a problem throwing the ball. I think he's the best scramble, the best running quarterback you're going to find in the league. I don't think he has a great arm. So as much as I'm not a Cowboys fan, I think I'm going to go Dallas this week. I think that they need a win to stay in contention. Dak Prescott has to prove why he's getting paid all that money. I think CD might have a big pop-off game, maybe like a 2-touchdown game. Both defenses are very slacked. So I'm going to go Cowboys, money line, Cowboys +1, and I'm going to go over 48.
Yeah, you kind of fooled me there with the setup because before we even got into it, I was forecasting the Cowboys L, and look how the tables have turned. You've got them on the money line
when
this week.
he went to the McAfee went down to the college championship and started singing the Georgia Bulldogs. Who's that walking down?
Give me Alabama.
The exact same thing I just did there. I was like, the boys, they're shit, but give me the Cowboys.
Okay. Man, you're playing with my heart there, TC, but you trust the Cowboys this week. I'd love to see it. And you know what I love, especially when I get emotional with the Cowboys? You just don't put them in the parlay of the week, and you'll be happy. You can just watch it from afar.
They're not in it.
You don't need to put them in the parlay for the week. Just watch it from afar. All right, so TC's got Cowboys +1. He's got over 48.5. Me and him agree on that. JA, how do you see this one playing out in Dallas?
TC, I agree with you that Dallas is shit, but I think Baltimore wins this game here. I'm not sold on Dallas. I think Dak, I don't know why they gave him all that money.
JA had Cowboys -6 last week. That's where part of this fight is coming from.
I had Saints money line.
Beautiful pick. But I think the line opened at Baltimore at +1, and now I see the line today. The line is flipped to Baltimore now being the favorite -1. So usually when a line flips like that from dog to favorite, I usually take the favorite in those spots. So this is more of a spot play more than anything. I think it's going to be a high scoring game too. I think both these teams can go back and forth. And it'll be down to the wire and be like a 30-27, 27-24 type game. Yep. But just based off the line that I'm seeing, it's just I could go either way, flip a coin with this game, but I'm just going to go with the Ravens here based off the dog to favorite flip.
Flock. Me and Jay are flying. I love to pick the Cowboys not to win a game. That's why it's a pleasant surprise when they do. Ravens flock. TC, I'm so happy and honored that you would take the Cowboys this week for all the shit that you forecasted before you made that pick. All right, let's go next up here to Sunday Night Football. Potentially a good one. If the Falcons are going to look the way they looked on Monday night, at least at the end of that game, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going on the road to play the Atlanta Falcons. Kansas City 2-0. Atlanta is 1-1. Kansas City is 3.5-point favorites on the road for Sunday night. The over-under is 46.5. Good weather in Atlanta, 80 degrees. And about 58% of analytics have the Chiefs winning this matchup. So, J.A., how do you see this one playing out in ATL?
Down in ATL, the Falcons are going to win this game. Straight up.
Woo!
Straight up. Win this game. Kirk's going to have his chains on. He's going to go to Magic City after. He's going to have the city bumping. I like Atlanta here. Chiefs always at the beginning of the season are kind of figuring things out, always are in close games in the start. Last week we saw them struggle with Bengals. And I think Falcons are a good team. They have a good defense. They're starting to figure things out. I think last week the Falcons, that was a big moral win for the Falcons winning that
that's
game.
For sure.
I feel like they can really win games now after that week 1 flop. That week 2 victory against the Eagles was huge for the confidence of that team. And I think they bounce back here at home and cover +3 and win money line.
Damn. Big pick. Wasn't expecting someone to jump on the Falcons right away. But J.A. likes them to cover, likes some money line as well. Really quick, that 46.5, what'd you say?
I like neither 46.5 I like because it could go really.
It's psychological.
Yeah, it's either Patrick Mahomes plays well and the Falcons keep up and barely win, or it's going to be a slow grind them out. Let's go under 46.5 Falcons.
All right, so JA
under 46
is rise up on the
Rise up.
Falcons. I think one of those teams might need to trade their slogan because the Cardinals and the Falcons have basically the same slogan. So we're gonna get something different down there for the Dirty Birds. TC, how do you feel about this one Sunday night in Atlanta?
Um, Look, I think the Falcons with Kirk Thuggins, they show potential, right? I think that they're going to give a run at Baker Mayfield and the Bucks and the Saints for who's going to win the NFC South. Panthers have no shot. Again, I'll state that as many times as I have to on this podcast.
We already knew that.
To that point,
We're not worried about that.
To that point, the Chiefs and Mahomes win games. I think when it comes down to the wire, big time fourth quarter, last drive, there's nobody I'd rather have than the Chiefs to win a game. So I think it's a one possession game, kind of back and forth. So the spread, being 3.5 kind of scares me a little bit because I see this game, somehow the Falcons come out and they start playing and it's like a 21-21 going down. You have 40 seconds on the clock. Mahomes gets the ball. Somehow
Don't you say the score you're about to say.
They kick, Butker gets a field goal. They win by 3. So, to that would be 24-21 Chiefs. So to that point, that's barely floating right around the under. So I'm going to take the under. And with the spread being 3.5, I like the Falcons plus 3.5. Getting that extra 0.5, I kind of like that. But I would take Chiefs money line in my parlay, which I already cooked it up. I can't wait to say it.
All right, TC likes the Chiefs this week. Oh,
they know how to win games. They know how to win games when it's crunch time. Mahomes, I will trust in him. They could have another flawless season.
And I like the discrepancy here as well. Bragging rights for JA if we go into week 4 because he's on the Dirty Birds. TC is on the Chiefs this week. Ty, I laughed before you gave your score because, we didn't plan this, but I've got 24-21 Chiefs in this matchup. That's the score that I had pre-podcast.
Awesome. That's second time already.
Second time awesome. On the flip, but this time I'm with you. I'm with you on the Chiefs. Right. That's the score that I had. That 3.5 looks wrong. Atlanta, kind of like the Chargers in my mind. Their games a lot of the times come down to field goals. Usually they're on the losing end of the stick. So I've got the Atlanta losing this one. I don't think they're on the Chiefs level yet. Obviously, the Chiefs have won, last two out of the 3 last Super Bowls. But yeah, so Chiefs money line, that's something that I have to just believe in. Under 46.5, Atlanta didn't, light up the scoreboard last week, winning with 22 points. But they'll keep it close, though. And just really quickly about their defense, they kind of have 5 Pro Bowlers on their defense. It starts with Grady Jarrett. They've also got Matthew Judon that they picked up in free agency. They've got Justin Simmons that they signed from the Broncos. They've got Jesse Bates that they signed in free agency from the Bengals. And A.J. Terrell is one of the best cornerbacks in the league. So Atlanta's definitely got playmakers on both sides of the ball. But there's just more that I trust about the Chiefs. So give me the same score as TC, 24-21. All right, next up, we got some Monday Night Football here. Depending on how you view the Jags, if they can play to their
I like this 2 Monday night games.
Doubleheader.
I kind of like it.
We got to get off work early if they'll let us.
Good thing I'm on East Coast hours in Denver.
That's right. Come on, let's go. We got a doubleheader here. We got to be ready to go here for the first one. That's in Buffalo, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. 0-2 Jacksonville Jaguars heading up to Buffalo to play the 2-0 Buffalo Bills. Buffalo at home is a 5-point favorite for the first game on Monday night. The over-under is 45.5. Looking like good weather in Orchard Park, 65 degrees in Buffalo. 66% of analytics have the Bills winning this game. So, J.A., let's start with you. Who do you like in this one in Buffalo?
I'm usually not with the public, but for this one in Buffalo, I see Buffalo winning by a touchdown. Jacksonville, they have a good roster. They have good pieces, it always seems like, but it's always lackluster with Jacksonville. And just give me Josh Allen in Buffalo, man.
Josh Allison likes Josh Allen. Come on.
Exactly. And Buffalo, he's Superman in Buffalo. I can see them win. Like I said, Buffalo by a touchdown. This over-under total, I would lean probably over here. I think Jacksonville can score a little bit. They're 0-2. Like you said, they're desperate. They're desperate to kind of play well and do something. So I believe that they can score here. I just think Buffalo with Josh Allen will be too much at the end of the day. Buffalo -5.
JA17 likes Josh Allen this week.
Yes, sir.
Circle the wagons. Bills Mafia Monday night looking good, getting the win and covering that 5 points against the Jaguars they're hosting. TC, how do you see this one playing out in Buffalo?
Um, so I think playing in Buffalo is hard when you play them in, anytime past October. You look at the weather right now, it's going to be 65 degrees and partly cloudy. So it's not going to be the huge weather difference that you usually feel when you're playing Buffalo in November when it's pouring snow. So I think Jacksonville comes in there a little bit loose. I think Trevor Lawrence maybe finds himself a little bit more. I'm going to go Jacksonville +5. Would I take money line Jacksonville? No. I think I'm going to take Bills money line, but they win by 3. So I'm going to take like Jacksonville Buffs, I think I'm going to ride again like a 24-21 game. I think it's going to be something like that. So I think the over-under is right where it should be. So I'll go over on this game. But I think this is also going to be a sleepy good game. I think if Jacksonville comes out there and play, it'll be a lot of fun to watch. I think it's going to be, constant back and forth, not a lot of punts, field goals, touchdowns, etc.
All right, so we got difference on the dogs here right now. TC's got the Jags to cover 5 points. JA's got the Bills to cover as the favorite, the 5 points. As far as the over-under, both guys on the panel right now are over 45.5. We're getting some more scoring here, but both like Bills money line for this Monday night matchup. For me, TC, I'm going to join you on this one. The Jaguars are a confusing team for me because 2 years ago they were in the playoffs and they won a playoff game against the Chargers. And then after that, they lost like 27-20 against the Chiefs, but they played well in that playoff game. And then last year, they just totally just shit the bed come the end of the season and missed out on a playoff spot. But it's not to say that they don't have a good roster. I mean, you've got ETN, you've got Gabe Davis that they brought in this offseason from Buffalo, Evan Ingram on that team. Everyone's pretty high on Brian Thomas Jr., this rookie that a lot of people are talking about. And Trevor Lawrence just got paid. He's getting big money to play quarterback, so he's got to play like that. Buffalo, on the other hand, Buffalo looked real good last week. Right away, they came out of the gates against Miami and put it on them right away. James Cook was running all over the Dolphins. And a lot of the concern for Buffalo was, you let Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis go. So who's going to be that receiver that steps up for them? But it just looks like Josh Allen can do it on his own almost. He doesn't need all those high-powered receivers. They put up points in week 1 against the Cardinals, and they put up points week 2 against Miami. So it's been impressive for Buffalo. With all that being said, I feel like I'm going to gauge that desperation that Jacksonville has in this matchup. They're 0-2. I'll give them the cover +5 points, keep it close. I'm going to go over 45.5 as well. I'm going to go Bills 26-23 in this matchup, but I trust the Bills as a team more than I trust the Jags. All right, last game on the slate here, Monday night. We're going to go to Cincinnati, Ohio from Buffalo, New York. And we've got the 1-1 Washington Commanders going to play the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 0-2 to start the season. And if you pick them in week 1 in your Survivor League like myself, you are done because they lost to the Patriots. Go fuck yourself, Cincinnati. All right, in this matchup, Cincinnati at home is a 7.5-point favorite. The over-under is 47 in this matchup. We got the Bengals hosting the Commanders. TC, kick us off. How do you see this one playing out in Cincinnati?
I think this is, kind of what I was alluding to for some other games this week about the must-win games. I think the Bengals must win this game. If they want to have any shot at making the playoffs this season, want to have any shot at having a decent season, you just pay Joe Burrow. He's got to come out there and do what he's always done, go out there and perform. To that point, 7.5 points is a lot of points. But my biggest thing with 7.5 is most games are 6.5. Why is this one 7.5? Why? Because Vegas wants you to take Washington because everybody's thinking, they can lose by a touchdown. So I think Cincinnati goes out here and beats them by 15. I think Cincinnati's going to come out there, prove that they're a playoff team again, come back firing. I'm going to go Bengals -7.5. Bengals money line, 1,000%. They're my survivor pick of the week, but we'll get back to that. And I'm going to go over 47 because I don't think they have a great defense. So I think the Commanders will put up maybe 14, but I see this being like a 28-14 game.
All right, so TC is, getting back on the Tigers this week to come back. The Bengals are roaring back to town to get their first win of the season to put them at 1-2, and they get to host the Commanders on their Monday night matchup here. But TC, you said 28-14. The over-under is 47. So that puts that at under 47, no?
Yes, your math's right. It puts it
Yeah.
2 points
Yeah.
under.
Low
One point
under
under.
that 47 total. So under,
I didn't.
but
I mean,
Cincinnati to
my
cover
apologies. Yeah.
that 7.5. So Cincinnati with the 7.5 under 47. Bengals money line for TC. JA, how do you feel about this one in Cincinnati?
Yeah, I'm with Ty on this one. It's like the highest spread on the board. Like you said, why is it -7.5? All these other totals are -6.5, -6.5. Yet this game on the slate is the only one that's -7.5. So that's telling to me that, like you said, this could be like a 2 touchdown game. You could probably buy this up to 10 points and get this at plus 150 once to get even more value in that play. So I like Cincinnati -7.5, highest spread on the board. They cover easy, must win, desperation. Joe Burrow has to show that he's the guy now. He has to show up. He's at home now. Last week, you guys had a heartbreaker against Kansas City, and now you got a bounce back spot here at home where I think they can just beat up on the Commanders.
All right, so both on the panel on the Bengals this week to get their bounce back spot, and with those 7.5 points as well. Both on the panel like the Bengals this week as well with the 7.5. I'm going to join you guys here. I out of spite, I wanted to take Washington plus 7.5, but sometimes before I even do these games, I'll be like, all right, how many points are the Commanders good for? Like 20, like total. Even with the Bengals defense, they're a good defense too. And then if Cincinnati put up 25, 26 against Kansas City last week, I mean, Washington's defense is no more better at all than the Chiefs defense. So they can do more than 26 points. So that lands me on a score of like 28-20 Bengals in this matchup. That's over 47. And I'll take Cincinnati with the -7.5. If anything, I think they could play a little bit hotter than they have, and that'll cover your 7.5 points there. I hate the Bengals though, and I hate that I picked them week 1, and I hate the AFC North this year because I hate that I took the Ravens week 2 as well in Survivor. But I'll ride the Bengals here. I can't pick the Commanders yet. They have elements to their team, but Cincinnati's got more. And honestly, Cincinnati needs T. Higgins back. That makes a huge difference for them. We haven't seen him yet this season, but they look a little limited. And honestly, they let Joe Mixon go, and it hasn't looked great with Zach Moss to start the season either. So I would want him back if I was the Bengals as well. All right, we covered every game from the week 3 slate. We picked a side on the spread. We picked a side on the over-under. We also picked a side on the money line for week 3 with the panel for Parlay with the G's. But it's now time to put the parlay in the title of the podcast for With the G's and cook up what we think is our best picks for the week. This is the circle of trust. Who do we trust? Who's not going to let us down this week that we can put into a multi-leg investment bet wager that we're going to place this week for Sunday NFL football, including the 2 Monday night games as well, if we feel good about those. So TC, you're going to kick us off here of everything that we talked about. Who's in your circle of trust parlay this week?
All right, my circle of trust. This is a 5-leg plus 954 leg or plus 954 odds parlay. I have placed this parlay myself. So in my circle of trust, I'm financially invested as well as physically and emotionally. So we're gonna start this off. We're gonna go Bucks money line. That is pick 1. Pick 2, 49ers money line. Pick 3, Cardinals +3. Fins +4.5, and Chiefs money line.
Hey!
That has been placed on my sports book. I have placed it, can't confirm it. It is 5 picks, 25 to win 263. Let's have a week, fellas. Why not us?
Let's go.
Come on.
Let's go. Plus 900 odds there for TC's parlay. 5 legs total. He likes a few dogs to cover in his parlay, and he likes some money lines as well in his parlay. Thank God you didn't put an over-under there, because I would be so pained for you if you did lose an over-under within that one. But we're going for cinco legs for TC's 5-leg parlay this week. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like that we got some dogs in there to cover. You guys both felt good about the Cardinals to cover this week. You guys both felt good about the Dolphins to cover that 4.5 points as well this week as well. You trust who you trust with, you got the Chiefs in there money line, and you got the Niners in there money line as well. And your last leg that you mentioned, TC, who's your third and final money line?
Bucks money line.
Bucks money line, where we began this podcast. Tampa Bay to win with the Broncos coming to town. That'll push them to 3-0. JA, how is your week 3 parlay looking? Who is in your circle of trust?
Well, we got Buccaneers money line for sure. I love that against Denver. Easy. And then after that, we're gonna need some juice on this parlay. You know I like some juice on my parlays. I'm gonna have to go Ravens money line.
Oh,
Ravens money line.
Circle of trust.
Circle of trust, and I don't trust those boys.
Especially not after you took them with 6 last week.
I don't trust those boys. And then it's Dolphins plus 4.5.
Let's go.
I love that play. Love that play. And then we're gonna go. Where was it? I'm buying back. I'm not sold on Bears. Colts money line. AR 15. Colts have to win at home. I love the price at minus 115. It's a good price. And then for our last leg, we are taking Chargers money line. Straight up. Straight up. And on that, I got plus 18,000.
Juice.
Juice, brother.
Juice.
Dang. Was that 1,800 or plus 18,000?
1,800.
I was going to say, bro, let me throw a little something on that. I will tail a plus 18,000 any day of the week.
My numbers are off, but that 5 leg $20 to make $391.
Hell yeah!
All right, so $371.
371. All right, we got plus 1,800. JA, really quick, recap those 5 legs that you had there.
We got Buccaneers money line. We got Ravens money line. We got Miami Dolphins plus 4.5. Colts money line and Chargers money line.
All right, Cinco, 5 legs for the team here on both sides. I like the.
We're not fighting. We could both win. We're not fighting.
Hey, take it. Jay, I like the Colts one and I like the Chargers one because you're getting good value there. You just got to have the nuts to put those team in your parlay because both of those spreads are super slim. Even the Ravens one too. I mean, the Ravens, that's a 1-point spread for that one. So, you're putting a tight one in there as well.
That's the dog to favorite flip. I love that. Whenever I see that, I usually play slight favorite because I don't know. The system play for me.
Hey, so if you're taking TC's parlay this week at plus 900, you might as well double that cheeseburger there and level up to plus 1,800 if you're going to ride JA for this week at plus 1,800 value for his Cinco 5-leg parlay for this week. I like it, fellas. I like it. All right, for me, this football weekend started off on Thursday night. I had one bet where it was Garrett Wilson to score a touchdown. I got that at plus 218 value. I figured it was his time to get in the end zone, last night. So we took $100 and we turned it into $318 on the book. I know how these things work. I know if a team like the Ravens lets me down in the morning set and I have to jump on the afternoon set and the Monday night sets, I still want to leave $100 in there in case we got to jump in on the back end. So now we got $218 to play with here in week 3. And that's profit from the Garrett Wilson bet. So I've learned my lesson. Week 1, I was 4 for 5. Last week, I was 3 for 5 in my parlay. The rule on this show and the house rules is we're going to do a minimum of 4 legs. So I got some ammunition to work with this week. I don't have plus 900 for you. I don't have plus 1,800 for you, but I do have plus 238. And this is the circle of trust. There are teams that I could put in there to do a 5-leg parlay or a 6-leg parlay, but I'm just going to double the ammo here. And let's put 218 total on this plus 238 4-leg parlay. So we're going to start off with both of you boys as well. We're going to go Tampa Bay Buccaneers money line in Tampa to start off the morning. I agree with you guys as well. They're ahead over the Broncos. So Bucks money line, right? Then we're going to go up to Cleveland, Ohio, and we're going to recognize the fact that the Giants are one of the worst teams in the league. I trust Myles Garrett to win a game by himself, so I think they're going to make life difficult for the Giants this week at home. I'm going to go Browns money line with my second pick of this four-leg parlay. Then we're going over to Vegas for the Raiders. Sorry, TC, but the Panthers are the weakest team in the NFL for me right now. They're kind of competing with the Giants, but I don't think Andy Dalton is the fix that they need. Max Crosby is unbelievable on the Raiders defense. They're looking better as a team, and good to see them get some points last week against the Ravens. Gardner Minshew looked better. So give me the Raiders money line for the third leg of my parlay. And then last up, I'm going to finish with the team that I can trust right now. TC has them winning by more than 14 points this week against the Rams, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. All of us like them to cover that 7-point spread against the Rams. I think even with some of Deebo Samuel being doubtful, the Rams just have too many injuries right now to overcome. They're not the same team. And I'm going to go to the 49ers money line for the last leg of my parlay. So that's plus 238 total. Let's take 218. Let's slap it on that. I'm not losing 4 out of 5 parlay this week. We're going 4 for 4 this week. And that's how we're going to live our life on the money line. All right, last up, we got our survivor of the week. We gave you 2 5-leg parlays. We also gave you a 4-leg parlay, and now we're going to finish with the survivor pick, and we'll keep track for the rest of the season. Who can we pick this week to win a game, but we can't pick it again for the rest of the season? J.A., why don't you kick us off here? Who's your survivor pick for week 3?
Survivor pick of the week. Someone who's not losing this week are the Buccaneers. Not happening. Baker Mayfield, first game, 10 o'clock. Get your survivor pick over with. Feel good about it in the morning. Baker Mayfield, money line. Tampa Bay.
Fire the cannons, baby. Bucks in Tampa.
At home in Tampa. I don't see Bo Nix. He was very unimpressive to me the first 2 weeks. So unless Bo Nix does something extraordinary this week, I like Bucks money line.
All right, J.A. is riding Tampa for this week for a survivor pick, and we'll keep track of that. No Moss on picking them for the rest of the season, but this is a good spot for them. And the ponies they're weak. The Pirates, the Bucks, they're gonna steal all of their supplies and just take that money line for them in survivor. All right, TC, who do you like for your survivor pick this week?
I love the Bucks as well. They're not my survivor pick. I think the Bucks are going to come down a little bit later in the season, and I'm going to like to have them as an option, especially like December 1 when they play the Panthers. That's it. It'd be great to have the Buccaneers as such a good team later down the road. I am going to pick a team that must win the exact same thing J.A. said, must-win team. Kind of what I mentioned as well in my pick. I'm going to go Bengals money line in my survivor pick. I think it's a must-win for them this week. They can't drop to 0-3. They're going to see Washington at home. I think they're going to win. That's my survivor pick, but I don't know how good that team is. So I kind of like picking them now and not being able to pick them later down the road.
Well, I'm so glad you're picking them in week 3, because if you picked them in week 1, you'd be fucked like me, dead in the gutter. All right, so TC likes the Bengals. He's back on them to get right this week, and also wants to get them out of the way now so he can use other teams for later in the season. So we got one Tampa Bay Buccaneer pick for survivor, and then we got Cincinnati Bengals as well. Like I said, I wish in the first 2 weeks of survivor, looking back, I didn't pick 2 teams who I thought were good teams in the Bengals and the Ravens to win a football game. I could have just followed the worst team in the NFL, who's the Carolina Panthers, the first 2 weeks, arguably against the Giants. But I didn't follow them the first 2 weeks. I'm going to follow them this week. I'm going with the Raiders for week 3 survivor pick. I think they're home. I like their defense. I think they make things tough for the Panthers, and we're riding the Raiders. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining this week's podcast of Parlay with the G's. We got Ty Cobb TC for the first time on the podcast, and we also got J.A. Josh Allison coming on the podcast for the first time. Thanks, you guys, so much for joining. We'll keep an eye on the Arizona Cardinals this season. We'll also keep an eye on the Carolina Panthers, TC, to see what they're doing with that franchise going forward. And, hopefully we're pleasantly surprised if the Cowboys can beat the Ravens this week, but not according to J.A., but because he's got the Ravens in his circle of trust parlay for this week.
Ravens
Block, block,
block.
block, block,
Come on
block.
now.
All right, boys. Thanks for joining. Take care.
Yeah. See you, fellas.
Hey, fellas.